Welcome to the Horror Unmasked podcast,
where we unmask the monsters
and explore the lore.
I'm Amber.
And I'm Lily, and today we will be dissecting
The Exorcist.
Let's Expel a Demon.
The story begins when Father Marin uncovers a small statue of the demon Pazuzu at an excavation site in the ancient ruins of Hatra in northern Iraq. We then see actress Chris McNeil bonding with her daughter Reagan when she finds a Ouija board that Reagan has been playing with, opening herself up to the demon Pazuzu, or what she knows as Captain Howdy.
What?
I know, right?
Like, what on earth?
Which is wild.
That's so random.
Not long after, Reagan begins acting strange, using obscene language and having violent outbursts. Chris decides to take her daughter to a psychiatrist, who tells her that her behavior is nerve-related and recommended that she checks her into a mental institution, because that's how that solves all those problems.
Yep.
Chris refuses and keeps her daughter at home.
Meanwhile, a priest named Father Karras, I didn't hear them say any names in this entire movie, to be honest, so
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Father Karras, I'm going to say Karras. Karras. I'm going to say Karras. Father Karras is in distress after he had left his mother to live alone in a shabby apartment, old and sickly. Because that's what you do with your old and sickly mother.
Yep.
Because Father Karras does not have the funds to provide better care for her, he feels guilty for his mother having to be put into a mental hospital, where she eventually dies.
I mean, part of the problem is that he's, like, when he first sees his mom, it's, I want to move you out of here and help you. And she's like, no.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna do it.
Mm-hmm. My house.
And then gets mad at him
when she ends up in a
because somebody else puts her there.
Yeah.
I'm like, it ain't his fault you're there.
Right.
You should have been moved somewhere else, but because you were stubborn, this is where you ended up.
After taking her daughter to many more psychiatrists and doctors, the doctors finally tell Chris that Reagan is beyond the help of regular doctors and recommend her to see a priest for an exorcism.
Which is weird. I the logic that they do in the movie with the, like, well, if she believes in things, then it's psychological, but it makes them think that they're dealing with it by doing this. I'm like, that's a really weird workaround.
So they're like, so you should do an exorcism to make her think that she's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not that they actually believe in it.
Yeah. Spoiler warning. Skip ahead. Reagan has declined even more. Peeing on carpets, spider walking down the stairs, and stabbing herself in the crotch with a cross. That is always the scene that is very
and then making her mother... I can't even... I just... What does she say to her mom?
Girl, I'm not going to repeat that.
I don't even remember. Oh, God.
Because it's gross, because it's
so
supposed
gross.
to be.
Yeah. It feels so unnecessary.
Yeah. It's really vulgar in every form.
So...
Yeah. Chris finally gives in and calls Father Karras for help, who is skeptical at first because of his crisis in faith. Eventually, Father Karras gives in after observing Reagan's behavior, seeing the words, "help me," appear in Reagan's skin, and asks the church for permission to help. The church decides it is best to bring in someone who is more experienced, calling Father Marin to step in.
Father Marin arrives at the house, starting the exorcism immediately. The process is long and dangerous as Reagan causes objects to fly around the room, including the priests. Father Marin decides it's time for a break, but when he starts again, he is found by Father Karras dead of a heart attack. Father Karras decides that the demon is too dangerous and that the exorcism won't work, taking Pazuzu into himself and throwing himself from the window, killing him and expelling the demon. Reagan remembers nothing as the family packs up to move with no more signs of the demon that tormented them.
The end. Yeah, well, you know, a whole lot and a whole lot of nothing all at the same time.
Facts.
So I definitely think that we got like a director's cut version of it when we were watching it.
Mm-hmm. Only like 10 minutes extra though,
Yeah.
so it wasn't like anything too crazy.
But there was so much dead space and so much just walking from here and walking from there.
And doing what? More walking.
Yep. Oh, this movie was released December 26th, 1973.
So everyone's all, which also adds to the, shock factor. Oh, we're all in Christmas time and holiday season and happiness and winter weather.
Oh, yeah.
Shock value horror movie.
Oh, yeah. They did that on purpose. Which I will get into it.
Yeah.
The director is William Friedkin. Distributed by Warner Bros. And Warner Bros. Pictures. I have their box office. What was their budget?
Their budget was $12 million.
Yeah, because their box office is $441.3 million.
Which is fucking nuts.
Which is wild.
Considering
Yeah.
that just 200 million back then was the equivalent of about 1.3 billion today.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah.
So, fucking nuts. Personally, I don't understand.
Because it didn't start off as a success. Only within the first couple of weeks, it had a very small amount.
So it said in its first week it had 1.9 million, so like 13 million today.
Yeah.
And setting a box office record for R-rated horror films that went unchallenged until Stephen King's It hit theaters in the 2017 version.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
It's wild.
Mm-hmm.
That feels like it's a lot of money.
They also only had a limited release in 30 theaters.
Yeah.
Until I'm sure they open that up.
It feels like it's too much money.
I feel like this was a hoax.
Look, I'm not going to lie to you. Okay. So the whole preface of this, if you were there during the first handful of episodes, especially in our chit chats, I specifically, when I watched this movie for the very first time with my family, I got severe trauma associated with this movie because it terrified me because my brain, I couldn't handle horror.
And you were how old, just to clarify?
Probably between the ages of like 10 to 12.
Yeah.
So it fucked me up. Like I couldn't sleep for a very long time. It literally, the trauma stayed with me all the way to college, unbeknownst to me, for the most part. I knew that it still bothered me because every once in a while I would catch a glimpse or I'd catch a sight of the character and I would push things away or move it away from me as fast as I could. But it really didn't hit that I still had the trauma associated with it until I was in a theater class in college and they were wanting to do Macbeth, but they wanted to make it horror. Like they wanted to make a horror version of it. So they wanted to take inspiration from The Exorcist. And so he decided to play one of the scenes with the audio and everything. And I wasn't looking at it. And I remember like I covered my ears and all that kind of stuff. And then when I got out to the car, I fucking cried because of just like the memory of it. Yeah. But now watching it, like after at least being now more involved in the horror world and everything like that, it does not age well. It don't age well at all.
Not at all. Not with
you.
It's
also real slow.
Right. It doesn't age well with you, nor in the cinematic universe, in my opinion.
Well, that provides some pretty good information that makes it understandable why it is treated the way that it is in the horror genre.
I would like to know more.
I have some pretty
personally,
good stuff associated with it.
I don't get it. Especially, I'm going to get into this. It's a 2-hour and 2-minute movie for a whole lot of nothing.
Whole lot of nothing. Everything happens in like the last like hour-ish, half an hour, like
half hour.
Last 45 minutes of the movie is when like all the shit. Once you get like at the house with Reagan and all that kind of shit, that's when everything is going on.
I think for this long of a movie, this is one of the shortest summaries I've ever written.
Yeah.
Because literally all they do is talk about nonsense.
Yeah.
Walk everywhere. Mm-hmm. What else? Just literally doing random stuff. Like I really don't, like, for no purpose.
This movie should have been an hour and a half.
Yeah. Maybe less than that.
Yeah.
If we're being honest. Then I probably would have felt something.
Like, I feel like there was just way too much dead space. Like, we don't need to know, like, maybe for other reasons and for further, because there are other movies in this franchise, because it is a franchise. But I feel like they could have gone about it very differently in explaining like how the fuck the demon even is connected to her, because there's absolutely no explanation or there's no reason,
and no one speaks about it at all.
There's no like, yes, it's the demon. Mm-hmm. No, it's just like there's no like recollection with anybody. Mm-mm. It's wild.
And then you don't even like, there's the actors or the characters like speak a whole lot, but it's like about random stuff. And I don't even, I feel like we don't even really get to know the characters or have an emotional connection to them, like in a sense where I would actually feel bad for the things that are happening too.
Like I will say,
other than Father Karras, maybe
better connection with Chris McNeil in Believer than in this one.
Yeah. For sure. I agree with that. And
like the impact feels a little bit more intense, and we'll get into that eventually, but
I will say the first time I watched this movie was probably early in high school, and then I thought it was one of the most ridiculous, overhyped movies I'd ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I was in middle school.
Obviously, I didn't really know the context of it or like how it was one of the first of its kind.
Yeah.
In that sense, I just kind of laughed my way through it and was like, what is this makeup? What is the plot? Yeah. What are these things that are happening? That was fucking so vulgar. What on earth?
Yeah, because even for me, I did not remember the beginning of this movie.
Yeah, no.
Literally, my brain, this movie for me started in the doctor's office.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't have any recollection of like that whole desert excavation Iraq scene at all.
Or, you know, the showing that her mom is an actress. Is an actress.
Yeah.
Literally, or even the fucking Ouija board scene.
Probably because it's all such throwaway stuff and like nothing really happens.
Literally, the start of the movie for me would be when she goes to the doctor for the first time.
Yeah.
But
nuts. And I know this movie is very, very loved by many people. Yeah. Personally, I don't get it. Personally. That's just me. That's my opinion. I'm allowed. It does have a 78% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah. Which there's like a part of me that thinks it's a little high, but then there's a part of me that's like, you know, it's
I feel like a lot of people would think it would be higher.
A cult classic for a reason.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm. That brings me to my kill count of 3.
Yeah.
Just 3.
Yeah.
You've got this one detective dude. No, is he a detective? No, he's not a detective. Who is he? This is what I mean. They hardly ever say the names of the characters in this movie. I can barely hear them speaking.
I think it's yeah, the movie's audio levels are fucking wild.
Obviously it's old, but they can fix it by now.
Like all of the like environmental shit is so effing loud, and then the voices
when they speak, they're like
fucking quiet.
I literally go like, what did they just say? I have no clue.
I was fucking on that volume level.
Yeah, because
like,
it would be
crazy.
Like really loud, and then like super quiet, and I'd be like, what is going on?
Yeah.
I have no clue.
Yeah, it was crazy. I think it was like a director friend, like the dude.
I think
who
it was.
Yeah,
it was like a director guy that Chris was working with. He got shoved out the window by Reagan in her possessed state and then shoved down the stairs, and like his head was turned backwards.
Yeah.
We didn't mention that in here. Obviously, it's a very iconic scene. But he's one of the guys who died. Then the next one was Father Marin, who, you know,
we have no fucking clue, really.
Heart attack.
Yeah. Only through this do we know that it was a heart attack, because in the movie it's just man's just face down.
Father Karras walks in, he's just laying on the bed.
Yeah, and the girl's untied.
Yep, and we're just like, what
Which
happened?
is like, how'd you become untied when you were tied? Did he untie you and then
like
die?
I have no idea. No clue.
Like, for her to end up in the position that she was in didn't make really a whole lot of sense for the moment.
Yeah, but I only know that he died of a heart attack by looking it up. Like,
yeah.
That's how.
Yeah.
And then
obviously
Father Karras took in the demon and then threw himself out the window, and then he fell down the stairs. So, but that leads me to my very small list of cast.
Yes, very tiny.
Even though there's a lot of people in this movie,
there's only like
a handful of people that
4
really matter.
Important people.
Yeah. So Ellen Burstyn as Chris McNeil, Linda Blair as Reagan McNeil, Jason Miller as Father Karras, and then Max von Sydow as Father Marin.
Yup.
And that's about it.
Yes.
That's all I really got for you.
Yes. See, here's what's really stupid is both of us were able to find a shit ton of notes for a movie with not a lot going on.
Right. There's
which
so much...
is fucking wild.
But it also makes sense because, you know, it is such a renowned movie for like the effects and for the storyline that it came out with for its time, and the fact that it did come out so long ago. We were able to find so much.
Yeah. There's definitely a significant amount of time that passed that allowed us to have more information.
Yeah.
But yeah. You want me to go?
Go for it.
You ready?
I'm ready for a whole lot of nothing.
A whole lot of shit. All right. So,
I'm going to say so much as I think I dislike this movie more than I dislike Would You Rather?
Ooh, shit.
Yeah.
At
least Would You Rather had a little bit more to it, and it was faster paced. Personally.
I can understand that. I think I would still put Would You Rather lower. More because of the iconic nature of the film. It's like Nike. It's just because it's a brand.
I don't really care.
You know.
I really don't.
You know what I mean?
I really don't. It's so low for me. Like, I literally don't even consider this a movie. In my opinion.
Alrighty.
All right, go ahead.
So, pretty much everything in this movie was completed in camera. Shocker. All of it utilizing very low-tech methods. Friedkin and his team managed to create graphic special effects practically. And they were literally so convincing that theatergoers fainted, vomited, and just up and abandoned their friends in the theater seats. And trust me, I get more into that later.
I'll bring it back, and I'll always bring it back to this. They didn't have HD, so I know the effects were probably a lot crazier.
Yeah. Like, and it also had to do with some other aspects of it. But okay. So in order to achieve a lot of the special effects and things like that, so I'm going to get into a lot of those. So in order to achieve Reagan's upsetting 360-degree neck turn.
Yeah, so upsetting.
Frederick, well, you have the audacity of a highly technologically aged born child.
It's not that.
Also,
I like, it was good effects, but it was still like, it didn't make me feel anything.
Yeah.
Like, cool. That was really awesome. That was a great effect.
It's because we grew up with such high fidelity when it comes to effects, and that's why we can have a little bit of a snobbish upturn towards it.
Mm-hmm.
So Fredrick's special effects team created a fiberglass mold of Blair's head, set atop a rubber dummy used for the body, and then a creative and pioneering method that has become the norm for special effects houses. The team even added moving eyes and breath to the dummy head to make it all the more convincing.
Mm-hmm.
In one particular disturbing scene early in the film, we begin to see clues that something is wrong with Reagan when she walks backwards down the stairs on her hands with a mouth full of blood. That was originally omitted from the theatrical release and added in later for the extended director's cut. So Reagan's spider walk down the stairs, which was originally achieved with wires to help the stunt actress, though in the director's cut, CGI was used to kind of like seal it in and everything and like refine it. And also to create the illusion of a cold environment. Mm-hmm. Them saying illusion is a little wild for what they actually did.
Put themselves in a freezer.
The filmmakers today would add a character's breath in post-production, but that's not how it was done on The Exorcist. Instead, the special effects team brought in restaurant-style air conditioners to lower the temperatures of the Exorcist set to 40 degrees.
The things these actors went through.
Which made the actor's breath appear during paranormal scenes in the movie. But here's the thing, they also recorded at 0 degrees, often, like for the sets and stuff like that. Oh yeah. And it added more of that realism, organic atmosphere because of that.
I thought it was weird. In no way would it get that cold.
It's supposed to be the demon. At the demonly powered coldness.
Demons are supposed to be in hell, which is hot.
Well, they also say when hell freezes over, but also hell's also been seen as a frozen wasteland.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, we got a little bit of both sides.
Who knows?
Yeah. So, obviously, pretty much all of the most memorable moments in The Exorcist involve the practical effects. Mm-hmm. The infamous projectile vomit scene, for instance, that's the one. It used hidden tubes and pumps to create the grotesque effect. The use of pea soup in this scene has basically become legendary in the world of horror cinema.
Yeah, it's just so obvious that it's not vomit.
Well, yeah, it's demon vomit. It's not people vomit, it's demon vomit.
Right, because that's what demon vomit looks like.
Yeah, because we don't know what it is. Reagan's levitation scene.
That was cool.
Added an extra layer of terror to the film. These gravity-defying moments were achieved using wire and rigging, carefully concealed to give the appearance of supernatural forces at work. The removal of the wires in post-production contributed to the illusion of effortless levitation, which those were pretty cool scenes. I do think that levitation scene was pretty well done.
I agree.
So here's the thing. So all the different things that happened with like the bed, like the shaking and the tapping and the levitating and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
He had multiple beds. They had multiple beds made. So they had one bed for the levitating, one for the bouncing and tapping, and one for thrashing, and one with a mattress that went back and forth.
Oh.
Everything was hooked up inside the bed itself. So basically, Linda Blair was laced into it.
Oh my God.
She had no control of herself whatsoever. If I wanted her to lay down, she'd lay down. And she had no control over herself.
Absolutely not.
She was completely, very a good sport about all of it. But what they did was that they cast a mold of her body, and then they shaped it out of a very thin body metal that actually fit all the ripples and muscles in her back, so that when she would lay there, it couldn't be seen. It was so thin it looked like it was part of her. And basically that allowed it so that they could make it so she couldn't really move or anything like that. So, again, in addition to the disturbing effects and chilling aesthetics, the marketing and distribution team played on the religious subject matter
Oh, for this coming out right after Christmas?
of an exorcism by releasing the film on December 26th, right after Christmas, a major religious holiday. Religious,
stolen
literally,
from pagans, though.
yeah. Religious groups protested, which the marketing team
Really?
spun to extend their reach, luring audience in with controversy.
Okay, that's kind of brilliant.
So rumors for the set were leaked to the public, providing free publicity and sparking curiosity about set burning down,
Yeah.
injuries, and even deaths during production.
And I will talk about that later.
And these marketing methods continue to be adopted by the industry today.
Yeah.
Which is definitely an interesting aspect because of this.
Okay, I will say one thing. As much as I hate this movie, I know when to shut my mouth and to give credit where credit is due.
Yeah. They did very well with the marketing.
Very well with marketing. Very well for effects at the time.
Yeah.
Very well, like, coming up with
what they had,
with new storyline that had never been done before.
Yeah.
Just it didn't stand the test of time.
Yeah, and that kind of works in with my next thing, because it says modern audiences are so desensitized to violence and gore that they often wonder why The Exorcist is considered the scariest movie of all time.
Yeah.
However, keep in mind that The Exorcist was the first of its kind. A horror film that pushed every boundary of the genre, not to mention artistic norms.
Although, some of the vulgar stuff that was happening in that movie, I still don't appreciate today.
And that's part of it. That is part of it. That's why it is seen the way that it is. It's part
just
of that.
like, what?
Because people were unprepared for the graphic imagery, the manipulations and helplessness of a devil-possessed human body, the profanities coming out of the mouth of a child, the violence, and the broken limbed scuttling spider walk. Yeah. All of these things were new and truly shocking to the people at the time. So this,
like 50 years ago.
Yeah, this was actually kind of interesting to hear about, because this has a lot more to do with like what happened in the theaters. So the theater owners hired security guards as extra staff to manage the hysterical audiences.
Wow.
So people were vomiting in the aisles.
This is so crazy. This is okay.
People were vomiting in the aisles, fainting, and even reportedly experiencing medical emergencies like heart attacks and miscarriages.
What?
Yes.
Hold on.
Yes.
Because that goes into the lore of the demon itself.
Dude. So these experiences only added to the reputation and the lore of The Exorcist itself.
That's crazy.
It's a film so scary that you'll have a heart attack. It's so grotesque that you'll throw up into your popcorn.
It's so bad that you'll miscarry your child?
Yeah.
I would never watch
How
that
could
movie.
anyone, let alone horror fans, not go see it?
Right.
How could a movie that prompted such a huge response from an entire movie-going generation not end up becoming so iconic?
Marketing brilliance.
It's literal marketing brilliance.
What I wouldn't give to have never seen any horror movie ever, to go to the 70s and watch this in theaters.
To see what that... Oh, my God.
Yeah. And to see the reactions of people.
Because The Exorcist literally changed critical opinion of horror films, elevating them into respectable storytelling and paving the way for Academy Award-winning films like Rob Reiner's Misery, Darren Aronofsky's Black Swan, and even Jordan Peele's Get Out.
Get Out, yeah.
Like, a lot of it is that The Exorcist, without the crazy shit that resulted because of the movie, and because it made critics and things like that be like, okay, horror can become an acclaimed position. It's why we're able to have a lot of the horror movies and why it's so big now, which is pretty interesting. That is all of my notes. I also have the little stuff for later for the rest of the other movies that are part of this franchise and everything. But I definitely thought it was interesting to kind of find out about all this kind of, and there's so much shit. There's so much more to this that it's there was like pulley systems. He was using piano wire to raise her with levitating and things like that.
Which is horrible to know after watching Hereditary.
Yeah, it's...
Because that probably could have gone very wrong.
It's a lot.
A lot. Okay.
And it was like a size 8. I don't know what that means. But it was an extremely thin wire. Mm-hmm. And he kept like experimenting with thinner and thinner wires so that it was...
No, poor girl. And like that just goes into all of the injuries and things that happened on set. Which
I'm not surprised.
Goes right back into my points.
Yeah.
What was considered to be a haunted set.
Yeah.
You've mentioned the fire that broke out.
Yeah.
So while prepping for production, this mysterious fire just broke out on set, and the only room that survived was Reagan's.
Of course. Of fucking course.
Yeah. And it took 6 weeks for the production crew to rebuild everything.
Jesus. God, that sucks. Mm-hmm. You made all that work, and then you're just like, I have to rebuild all of this. Mm-hmm. That's the worst.
But worth it in their opinion.
Yeah.
Obviously. That's probably why it was so much money to make.
Yeah.
It was $12 million, so that's
yeah.
quite a lot back then. During the first week of filming, the actor who portrayed Father Marin, Max, he learned during the first week of filming, that his brother had died and had to return to Sweden for the funeral. Like that first week.
Damn.
So that's one of the deaths that happened. Then the actor who played Reagan, so Linda, then lost her grandfather, causing another delay.
Shit.
And according to Ellen, the one who plays Chris, she says that 9 people total died during the production.
Damn.
Including an assistant cameraman's newborn baby.
What the fuck?
And a night watchman.
Damn. A lot of people dying.
So many. Another was Jack McGowan, who played Burke Dennings, the one killed by Reagan, pushed down the stairs.
Yeah.
He died shortly after appearing in the movie.
Oh, well, shit.
Yeah, he was 54 years old, died of complications from the flu.
Yeah, because
at the
people can still
Algonquin Hotel in New York.
People can still die from the flu.
Yep. Mm-hmm. There were also other people that suffered lifelong injuries. A crew member lost his toe, and then a carpenter chopped off his thumb.
Jesus Christ.
That's not even it.
Sets built in blood.
It's actually insane. Blair, the one who plays Reagan, shared that she fractured her lower back while doing the convulsion scene in a harness, which gave her lifelong struggles with scoliosis. And in the document, during that scene, when she's screaming, "Please make it stop, it hurts, it burns," that's
her actual pain.
Yeah.
Holy
She's actually in pain. But nobody knew because it mirrored the script.
Yeah.
And she said that that's the footage that they used in the movie, and she's crying her eyes out because they're brutally damaging her back.
Yeah, because that scene's violent. And I was like, that can't actually be her. Yeah, even for me, I thought that was like, like when we were talking about It and how like against the thing, it was like a rubber body.
Yeah, they were like slamming his head. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that like that would be a similar situation. That was like a rubber.
No.
Not
that was her.
Really her.
And they fucked her back up.
Oh my
for
God.
life.
That's fucking insane.
Is what I mean by these actors went through some hell. Like actually.
Fucking insane.
And not only that, but the actress who plays Chris, Ellen, also hurt her back while filming. They've been filming a scene where she was pushed into the floor.
Yes.
Like pushed to the floor.
Yeah.
By Reagan in her demonic powers.
Mm-hmm.
That was made possible by having a crew member pull back on a harness that she was wearing.
Oh,
but
shit.
during one of the takes, the crew member pulled too hard.
Oh, fuck.
And then her back was just injured. But she didn't reveal that until like way 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. But obviously the people working on set, like, they were just like, nah, it wasn't haunted. It's cool. They were like, if you shoot something for a year, people are going to get hurt. People are going to die. It's very good publicity, but if you don't believe in the devil, you don't believe in curses. So it's like...
Yeah. It's the skeptics coming through.
Yeah. Even Blair said, I always say it's probably a good thing they didn't hire a Catholic child who may have heard about the devil, the things that were in the closet, because she was raised a Protestant, didn't really understand the idea of possession.
Yeah.
So she's just like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm not scared.
Yeah.
It's cool. And then Friedkin invited a priest to come exorcise the set, to perform an exorcism on the set.
Christ.
And his name was Father Birmingham. And he was like, no, I don't want to increase the anxiety or anything like that. And we're probably not dealing with anything more than an accident of one kind or another. So he was like, I didn't want to, like, freak people out, like, for no reason.
Yeah.
So instead he blessed everyone on set. Like, why perform an exorcism? There's no need. Come on.
More, man, the fucking marketing team was rolling in it.
Rolling in it. Actually rolling. But it's crazy, like, with the fire and then the missing toes and thumbs and then all the backs that were injured and the 9 people that died. Yep. It's a lot. So I know the marketing team was like, fuck yeah, give me more.
Oh yeah. And it only got better once the movie was fucking out.
Mm-hmm. And the audience better. Yeah. And then shit started happening to the audience.
Yep.
I don't know, man. It's nuts. So it makes sense.
It's fucking wild.
How well it did.
Yeah. Literally had the supernatural element behind it.
Mm-hmm. Which brings me into the lore of the demon himself.
Yeah.
So,
because you were saying it matched up with
some of the things that were happening to the audience. Yeah. So in Mesopotamian mythology, Pazuzu is a demon. Mm-hmm. The god of the southern winds and responsible for plagues, droughts, and famines.
In that one book in Hereditary, it's next to Payman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Believed to be from the modern day Zagros Mountains between Iraq and Iran. Associated with the underworld.
Yep.
Simultaneously, Pazuzu is also seen as a protector of humans against specific forces of evil.
Huh. Which is interesting.
Yeah, and a deceiver whose actions can result in human catastrophes. So people who fuck with him
get fucked. But people who worship him or follow in the parts of him that are meant for protection are fine.
Yeah.
Wild.
He was regularly seen as a protective force as much as a destructive one. So he was invoked for protection from other demons. So, like, he was the strongest of the strongest. Like, even the worst of the worst demons were like, nah, I don't fuck with him.
Yeah.
In particular, protecting pregnant women and children from the demoness Lamashtu, which shows up in Exorcist Believer.
Okay. Because we were talking about the fact that we knew that there was 2 different demons.
And Lamashtu, I talk more about her
when we get into
that one.
Gotcha.
But it was said she viciously murdered young and unborn children.
Yeah.
So that whole, when you were talking about
the
miscarriages, it was so strange because Pazuzu is, the demon that protected pregnant women, whereas Lamashtu was the one who murdered them.
Which
so
I think is also
it's a strange connection.
Wild that he's supposed to, because it's pregnant women and children. Mm-hmm. But the fact that he possessed a child, and wanted to let her rot,
it's because these movies.
So it's interesting
take
that
it
it's like,
and like make their own spin on it.
Yeah.
So,
which maybe adding to the cursed set, maybe he was like, "Fuck you, you're fucking with what I actually do, and I'm gonna curse your set now."
Yeah. But that goes with the spread of Christianity. So in Christianity, demons are considered to be the spawn of Satan.
Yeah.
Creatures from hell who enact their evil will over the humans of earth.
Yes.
However, to ancient Assyrians and Babylonians, demons were just spirits.
Yeah. They were dual faceted, which is exactly how he's seen. Is there's two sides of him. There's a side that's a protector, and there's a side that
will fuck you over.
Be destruction.
But the word itself derives from the Greek word daemon, which refers to lesser mortal beings that act as supernatural intermediaries between gods and humans.
Gotcha.
So demons might be sent to punish mortals or encourage them to fulfill their duties.
Yeah.
So both sides of that, instead of just the Christianity version.
That makes sense.
Demons are evil.
Yeah, because it's even the story about fucking Lucifer himself. It's the idea of that his whole thing is that he was spreading knowledge and wisdom and like giving us as humans
and that's
free
why
will.
God took his wings.
Yeah.
And was like, goodbye.
Like, he's quote, quote, technically not a bad dude because he wanted to provide us with the freedom of free will. But also it is depicted as being the most evil person or being in their religion.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, Pazuzu, he's seen as protection from other demons. And the Mesopotamians believe that, small statuettes and charms of Pazuzu would draw small amounts of his power to protect them. And so they would wear
like a charm,
wear protective charms,
have like idols and stuff.
Yeah, small idols. And there are many other Mesopotamian demons that haven't, stood the test of time.
Yeah.
Like, they're not as well known.
Yeah.
And the article that I read was basically just like, the simplest answer is the most obvious: Christianity.
Yeah.
So as Christianity, spread across the world, the devout no longer had a need for protective demons, and Christians naturally wanted belief in the old ways to disappear in favor of their new monotheistic religion.
Yeah. Even though that monotheistic religion is a combination of a fuck ton of different religions.
All different ones, yeah. So demons in the old faith were, just seen as demons from hell. After all, anything from the underworld had no place in the holy world of heaven. Yeah. As it goes.
I prefer the Greek version of hell. Because there is a part of hell that is the fucking fields.
Right.
Where all of the heroes and shit would go.
Yeah. But in the New Testament, it frequently sees Jesus Christ driving demons to hell.
Yeah.
And that has obviously been echoed through various forms of media, including The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Which has a priest invoke the Bible to drive Pazuzu back to hell. Where, in fact, that is not,
Where they just, for the longest and most uncomfortable scene, just constantly keep going, "May God compel you."
Yep.
May God compel you. Over and just
they say it
too long
30 times, I think.
It's too long. It's too long.
It's way too long.
Her levitation when she's going back down should have just been a little faster, because then it wouldn't have been as long and as uncomfortable, because it was just you're saying it too much now.
Facts. However, Pazuzu, what he looks like. His appearance hasn't changed over time.
Is it close to the depiction that was in the movie?
No.
Gotcha.
Because again, that's Christianity,
So he doesn't have a snake dick? Because that's very clear and evident in the movie.
Let me lay it on you.
Alrighty.
So, his appearance hasn't changed. And it's as if the entire world just kind of came to an understanding about what he looks like.
Yeah.
But that makes it difficult for historians to pinpoint a moment in time, when these depictions took shape.
Yeah.
Though his image originated in Egypt or Mesopotamia, it's likely that that's where it came from.
Yeah.
As for his body, It's similar to many other Mesopotamian demons. His head is the most distinct part. So it's got like a rectangular shape with Capricorns, massive eyebrows over some deep set round eyes, and a canine jaw that displays, teeth and a tongue, and then a long two-pronged beard marked out by his horizontal lines and protruding ears. The composition of Pazuzu's head is the earliest known example of Mesopotamian imagery, iconography.
Yeah.
Blending multiple animal and human features.
Yeah. I feel like the statue had a bit of that visual depiction, at least, on it.
Yeah. But it was said that, the smaller one he found. The smaller the charm or the smaller the idol, would only bring small amounts of his power in. That's why there are no like life-sized or huge
or massive versions
monuments of these demons and gods, because like otherwise they would bring even more evil in. If that's that's the other side of it. It's
so essentially in the archaeology section of this movie, that scene of him with the statue would not be possible because they wouldn't have built that.
What do you mean? Oh, the giant statue?
Yeah, the giant statue. They wouldn't have really built that if the bigger it is, the more it brings.
They did have there was an idol that was made completely out of bronze, and it was like one of the earliest known idols like made, and that was like 600 to 800 BCE.
Yeah. Like
a long time ago.
And was it a big piece?
No, it was just like a tiny little statue.
Yeah.
Because that's how they viewed him, and that's how they would bring small increments of that protection in.
Yeah.
Because if they made it too large, then that could be blown out of proportion and cause more harm than good, is how they viewed it.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's probably why they did that with the movie. But the problem is if you don't know who the demon is or the lore of the demon,
because they don't explain it at all.
You don't know that there being a big old statue is bad.
Right. Correct.
Like the tiny one, the tiny like head that he finds is probably accurate.
That's very accurate
to what really would be created.
And like even the head like is actually very accurate to what these idols look like.
Yeah.
Because he had also like big old wings and stands kind of like a human.
Yeah.
But the face is obviously different. But yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Not at all what they showed in the movies. But yeah, that Pazuzu. There are so many different depictions of Pazuzu in like modern media. So you obviously have The Exorcist. And then they also have a character named Pazuzu in the Marvel comic books.
Yes. Yeah.
And many other
heard
comic
about that.
books.
Yeah.
They have Pazuzu depicted. He's also in the television show Constantine.
Yeah.
And Supernatural.
Yes.
And is even in a video game called House of Ashes. So lots and lots of different depictions in modern day media.
Yeah.
None of which I really think are accurate. So yeah, again with the whole, modern movies taking different religious practices and ideals and taking something that isn't really based in those and turning it into something so different. Don't really know how I feel about it.
Like making alterations to a figure that is not technically what it represents.
Correct. To me, it's very.
It's not that anybody worships it still. There might still be some. Not saying there aren't, but for the most part, it's not a commonly worshipped
But I
thing.
just think it's more like educational purposes.
Yeah, it should be more accurate for that reason alone. It, making it
because it's all
appear
I'm gonna say it
incorrect.
It's all Christianity propaganda.
Yeah.
Just pushing that.
Yeah.
Devil and hell and
yeah
whatnot. And if you don't have faith,
I mean, shit, we started this year with two people who are considered the most Christian propaganda people. The Conjuring.
Yeah.
Mhm, yeah.
Yeah.
They were hardcore.
They were hardcore.
In
Because
the
that whole,
propagandas.
it was like the whole family was like, the parent family, oh, you guys haven't, none of you guys were baptized?
Yeah.
Oh, you're all
Of
going
course.
to die.
You're not religious?
You're not
What?
religious? That's tough.
You're gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
And only we can help you.
You might have to rethink your faith.
For real.
As much as I love The Conjuring, I don't like that part about it.
Yeah. At least it's
so-
not too prominent in the actual Conjuring stuff comparatively to the real world people.
Yeah.
Who were a very different group. But yeah.
Extremely.
Is that the end of your notes?
That is the end of my notes.
Alrighty. I'm gonna get in the little synopsises for the other films in this series. So, The Exorcist 2. Its synopsis is, owing to his experience with exorcisms, Father Lamont is chosen by his superiors to investigate the death of Father Marin, who died during the exorcism of young Reagan McNeil.
Oh, is this where we learned he had a heart attack?
Possibly. Lamont finds Reagan under the psychiatric care of Dr. Tuscan.
Why is she still under the need
I
of
don't know.
psychiatric care? I thought we expelled the demon.
Yeah. Maybe just like, because psychiatric can also just be like therapeutic. Like she might be
That's
in therapy.
fair. But she didn't remember any of it. Hello?
Well, we don't know if with time, since this is the second movie, it could
Okay.
always be like an amnesia thing where like over
How
time
long
you will
after,
remember.
do you know?
It didn't say in this though.
Okay.
But by hypnotizing the girl, he is able to learn that Marin previously exorcised the same demon from a boy in Africa,
Yeah.
hoping to answer Lamont's travels to Africa in search of the youth.
Wow, so it gives answers where the first one didn't, and so many people bashed this movie. So many people were like, this is the worst thing ever.
Oh, wait, you'll find out that there are other ones that are here that you're like, oh shit, these all probably explain a lot more if people watched them. So The Exorcist 3, Police Lieutenant Kinderman notices similarities between his current murder investigation and the methods used by the Gemini killer, who was executed 15 years before. He soon discovers a hospitalized mental patient claiming to be the dead serial killer, but who looks uncannily like a priest Kinderman knew who died during an exorcism.
Ooh.
It's
Karis?
Karis. As more bodies are found, Kinderman looks for connections between the two supposedly dead men. And then Exorcist, the beginning. The film follows Father Lancaster Marin, whose faith has been renounced after his experience in World War II.
Oh, so like a prequel.
Oh, wait. As he works as an archaeologist and discovers dark occurrences while excavating in Kenya. Dominion, prequel to The Exorcist. Decades before Father Marin helps save Reagan McNeil's soul, he first encounters the demon Pazuzu in Kenya. Marin's initial battle with Pazuzu leads to the rediscovery of his faith. So essentially, this, I would probably say, it's probably Exorcist, the beginning. Dominion, prequel to The Exorcist. The Exorcist, Exorcist 2, and then Exorcist 3.
And then Exorcist Believer.
And then Exorcist Believer. Because I think that's the from the way that these describe it, it sounds like that's a more accurate version of what the events were. Since it's the beginning was him going to Kenya, and then the prequel to Exorcist is him fighting Pazuzu in Kenya.
Yeah.
Rediscovering his faith. So Because then we get The Exorcist of him coming in and dealing with it. So, but yeah, those are the other movies and everything that's in there. So I feel like, yeah, if people had
lots of questions after watching the original Exorcist,
probably should watch some of these ones to kind of
yeah,
give themselves a chance to understand why certain things were happening. But yeah. Alrighty. You got some 1-star reviews?
of course.
Let's go.
Ones that I wholeheartedly agree with. Okay. First one.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I don't understand how anyone could be scared by this movie. I saw it for the first time when I was 9. Sorry. And I laughed my head off when it was over. I watched it again several years later and laughed even harder. There's literally no plot whatsoever.
Agreed.
The actors are terrible. That one I less agree with.
I would disagree.
The story was incredibly lame and pointless. Just a bunch of random boo scenes and badly composed drama. The effects sucked. That one I kind of disagree with. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for the original stuff. CGI should go to hell. Agreed.
I'm okay with CGI as long as it's a tool, not a crutch.
Yeah. But the whole head spinning thing and the crawling down the stairs and the horrible makeup was pathetic. Question 1. The all-powerful devil possessed the little girl's body, right? So how come all he did was mess up the bedroom and crawl down the stairs backwards once he was inside her? I also question that. Question 2. Why is it called The Exorcist? The Exorcist himself isn't even in it until the very, very end of the movie.
Yeah.
Seriously, don't see this movie. It's awful and does not deserve all the fame and hype it is currently receiving.
It's almost like it should have been called The Possession.
That.
Like, these should have been called The Possession.
Yes.
Instead.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been maybe okay if, like, the other ones that do focus on the father are called The Exorcist. Mm-hmm. And then these, but, like, it's The Exorcist before The Possession or something to that effect. Like, something along those lines.
Yeah.
So that you know that it's still part of the same franchise, but, like, the names make sense.
Right. Okay, so that one I didn't agree with as much as I thought. It was this next one that I think I'm pretty on board with.
Yeah.
This one's a little longer.
Okay.
It was even longer, but I cut it down.
Okay.
It was crazy.
Well, shit.
Yeah. This movie is 2 hours long, but could probably be cut down to 1 hour easily, as it is padded with long stretches of nothing happening.
Agreed.
One might argue this is to build atmosphere and suspense. And yeah, if that is what it actually did, then it would have been fine with the slow pace. The problem, however, is that it really fails to deliver on any sort of tension.
Yeah.
What we get is everyday dialogue in the vein of a soap opera, interluded with shots of dark hallways, flickering lights, doctor's visits, and flash cuts of spooky faces.
I agree.
Facts. This is not good building of an atmosphere. This is a director trying to convey horror, but not actually knowing how to get under the skin of audiences psychologically by using old, tired tropes that I can't imagine were all that fresh even in the 70s. That part, you're wrong.
That part, you are 100% wrong. Your mentality of seeing it as old, tired tropes,
Yes.
That was the
original.
new original tropes.
Yeah.
That was what started it. The only reason why you can call them, say old, tired tropes is because all of the movies that came after it.
Yeah. There was also an attempt to show the little girl gradually going from innocent child to pawn of Satan. Though due to poor editing and an oddly put story structure, we don't get to actually know her much. And there is long stretches of side plot in between her scenes, which ruins any sort of personal connection the audience might feel to her beyond she's an innocent little girl.
I can agree with that.
I agree with that as well. There's no reason to show everything that is being done to the little girl at the hand of the demon. Everything from self-mutilation, defiling a cross, assaulting her own mother, and using language you would expect an internet troll to use to rile people up.
Yeah.
It practically reeks of indulgence in shock imagery and trying to tick people off on the part of the director and writer, especially when considering how violently and inhumane they treated their actors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Making Rob Zombie seem like a Nobel Peace Prize winner in comparison. That was good. As a drama, it doesn't hold up due to the flat characters, As a horror, it is not scary. As an exploitation special effect fest, it has too many boring parts in between the gore. And as a religious film, it doesn't work due to how vulgar it is. All in all, it is a confused movie that wants to do many things at once and ends up doing very little at all. Not recommended unless you just want to watch the historical context of the piece and study the special effects use at play.
Yeah. I can kind of agree with that.
There were a couple things that were wrong in here.
Yes, there were definitely wrong things that were in there.
Yeah, about the tropes.
Yeah.
But everything else I'm right on board, to be honest.
Yeah. No, I understand that. I totally get it, you know.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. And just how it be.
Yeah.
I really thought this episode was going to be a lot longer.
It ain't going to be.
We've only been recording for like an hour.
Yep.
And some change.
Yep.
I thought we had a lot more to talk about, but I guess it's really straight to the point when
we agree.
Yeah.
When we agree.
We agree.
When we agree on the fact that, like, this movie is
great for the time.
Yes. It's revolutionary for the genre itself because of when it came out and what it did.
I'm very thankful that it did come out. I'm thankful for what it has done to the horror movie genre. You know, we obviously
and the fact that it, you know, it solidified it as a real genre amongst moviegoers and critics and stuff.
However, I still don't understand how it is still considered one of the scariest.
I would not consider it one of the scariest, but I can consider it a respected legacy object.
Yes, for sure.
Without question.
For sure. The first time I watched this movie, I didn't really have any concept of that just because I liked horror. Yeah. But obviously I wasn't in it as much as we are now. Yeah. So watching it again, still hated it. But it's a different level of respect and understanding.
A couple years ago, I remember, I'm going to talk about HHN.
Yes.
A couple years ago, I remember HHN having Exorcist as one of their houses.
They did. And I will say, much better than the movie.
I was going to ask because I didn't know if you had gone into that. I was going to ask about that because that was the reason I was wanting to go to Halloween Horror Nights that year. Right. Like I was really tempted, but when I saw that marquee for it, I chose not to. You wouldn't have
wanted to. You would probably be fine now.
Oh yeah, I'd definitely be fine now.
You'd be fine now, but having that trauma that you did going into that house would have made it worse.
I probably would have. I wouldn't even have made it.
Because I don't think I had ever seen the movie before going into the house. When did the house come out? Was that like
not that long ago? Hold on, let me pull up my thing. Yeah, I have a website that is very convenient for me to use, and it's called HHN Legacy. Thank God, you guys.
Because I think I had went into the house and then shortly after that watched it, but I'm not sure. That depends on when it did come out.
2016 was when they had The Exorcist.
So I was a 14-year-old.
That was when I was first starting college.
You were first starting college. I was in my last year of middle school, I believe. We went for my dad's birthday, and I do remember this house very vividly. I think it's like one of the houses that I do really remember from that year because it was so long ago for me. Yeah. Because I was just a little baby. Yeah. Fresh 14, and they don't recommend people under 13 go. So like, it was crazy. But that is a house I remember, and then I hadn't watched the movie until about 3 or 4 years after that. But it stuck with me. I remember like all of the different effects that they used, and it was really terrifying. And then I watched the movie and I was like, what is this? What is this? Yeah. So like portraying it differently now in like a house aspect and bringing in all of the actual scary points of that movie.
Yeah, the house definitely probably would have been way more succinct. Yeah. And because you're working with all of the shock and awe moments versus all of the downtimes.
Yes, exactly.
So I totally get that. Yeah, I completely get that. Yeah. But, you know.
And then it was the same thing for Exorcist Believer, where we went to the house first and then saw the movie because the movie didn't come out until after.
Yeah, which is wild because it was one of those situations where we did the house and we were like, holy fuck,
this is crazy.
And then we were like, we gotta go watch this movie. Yeah. We were like, god damn. Because I remember getting a pretty good fucking scare out of that house, and I was like, what the fuck? Yep. And we were like, what is that? We're like, now I need to go see this movie to figure out what the fuck is going on.
Yep. And find out what we thought in the next episode.
Hell yeah. which is next week, The Exorcist Believer.
Woo!
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Look forward to that, guys. Let us know some of your personal thoughts on The Exorcist.
Right.
And how you feel about that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if any of you guys have gone to HHN, what was your first HHN?
Yeah.
I'm curious.
What was like the house you remember the most?
Yeah.
What year did you go?
Yeah.
Was there an icon that
Oh,
you
yeah.
remember?
Were you there for like a special icon or anything like that? I think that'd be really fun.
Yeah.
You can send us an email at horrorunmasked@gmail.com. You can follow us, Instagram, Twitter, X, at Horror Unmasked. You can listen to us on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, Audible, Pandora, and YouTube at Horror Unmasked Podcast. Remember, rate, comment, subscribe, like, 5 stars, all of the shebang. And I think with that,
There's only one thing left to ask. Will you fear?
or will you fear not?